We're not meant to be alone. We're meant to be around people that love us, that support us, that are there by our sides as we go through this journey called life. You have to create a vision, create a clear picture of what we want. We have to seek clarity about our ideal mate. You have to look at yourself and ask yourself, if I see this list of all the qualities that the ideal partner for me has, who do I need to become in order to be a match for that? Welcome to our Manifesting Success call. Today we're talking about creating extraordinary relationships. And last time we were here, we talked more conceptually about how to manifest success, how to prepare yourself to be ready to attract the love into your life. And not only did we talk about romantic love, but really embracing the connections we have with people. So opening up to familial love, to friendships, to creating extraordinary relationships, because we're not an island and we're not meant to be alone. We're meant to be around people that love us, that support us, that are there by our sides as we go through this journey called life. So today what we're going to do is talk about 5 specific steps that we need to take to create those extraordinary relationships. So we'll just dive in. And if you have any questions, please write those in the comments and we'll definitely address them. So number 1, to create extraordinary relationships in your life is to take a hard look at your patterns. Now we're in the middle of teaching habits for high performers. And one of the key concepts in high performance to live an exceptional life is to seek clarity. We talked a lot about that in our group coaching call. And it's really about being honest with ourselves and evaluating what are those patterns that we keep living out. Now, the best way to look at it, or the fastest way, or the easiest way, or one of the great ways to do it, is to go back to your history, your childhood, and start to take inventory of what type of relationships did your parents have? What did you observe? What did you notice? What type of interaction did you experience? What was love like for them? What was a relationship like for them? What were the roles that everyone had, the mother, the father? Or if you were raised in a single parent household, what was that like? What was the relationship between them and the people they cared about, or between them and you? And so looking at all of those familial relationships and breaking down, what are those patterns? What are those things that you learned? What did you notice? Because we're always going to repeat those patterns. We're always going to create kind of an exact replica of the experience that we had growing up. And kind of the short reason why is because we're here to heal, right? And so we're going to repeat or attract patterns that are repeating so that we could, in essence, create a different ending. There's a lesson to learn. There is something that we want to shift in our life. And so we want to break those down. What is that for us? What is that for you? So looking at past trauma, and I will tell you, whether or not you know it, we all have trauma. Even if it's that 30 seconds where we felt abandoned because we were at a store and we turned and didn't see our mother or our father, and we felt all alone and terrified as a child that you were all alone in the store and you didn't know where your parent was, and they could have been right next to you. That creates trauma. That creates that stamp in our life, in our mind, that says we were abandoned, we were left alone, because that's the story we told ourselves. So uncovering all those traumas, looking at evaluating, again, what our family, what did we experience? What did we observe growing up? And what decisions did we make about it? What stories did we tell? Now, the stories could be the things that we decided about what a relationship is, or that impetus is saying, I do not want to repeat those patterns. Either way, we're still at the effect of the pattern. So even if I saw something and I said, I absolutely never want to be with a man who does this because I observed it, we'll be looking for the exact opposite. And in essence, we're going to perhaps attract someone who is dishonest because they come in with one facade, but they end up being exactly the person that we were trying to avoid, because our energy is still tied to that specific thing. And, just a quick example, you look at someone who maybe was observed abuse, and you wonder, why do they keep attracting someone who is abusive? Or perhaps they had an alcoholic father. Why do they keep attracting alcoholics? Because they have the energy that emanates that, they have those pictures, that experience that's still resonating in their aura, in their life, in their body, and that's what they're going to attract. So we want to evaluate that. Look at also our past relationships and look at patterns in our relationships. What type of men or women did we attract? What type of interactions did we have? What types of people, where do we betray ourselves? All of those things will give us a good picture of what things that I need to work on. So that's number one, is look at your patterns. Look at your patterns all the way from childhood up until now, including all of your recent relationships. And when you uncover those patterns, it's not that we give our energy over to them or give our power over to them, but now we could do something about it. Now we can make a decision about it. And here's the Cliff Note version of what we do when we notice that we keep attracting the same type of person over and over again, is you make a different decision for yourself. And that could be you finally say no. You finally say no to that interaction, to that experience, to that way of being treated, or even to that person. In my life, I used to say, why do I keep attracting the same person over and over again? And what I had to realize is I'm going to keep attracting the same person. I just have to stop saying yes to them. I just have to stop going out with them. And when I made that decision, then I started attracting a different type of person. So that's number one, in covering your patterns. If there's healing that needs to be done, then absolutely seek a great coach, great therapist, do some work to heal that trauma so that we can start to open up to the love that you want, that you deserve in your life. So that's number one. Number two is vision. You have to create a vision, create a clear picture of what we want. We have to seek clarity about our ideal mate. And there are 4 areas that I invite my clients to really get clear on. It's the mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual qualities of the person that we want, as well as the interaction that we want. So emotionally, what type of person is this? And emotionally, how are you relating to each other? Physically, what type of person is this? And then physically, how are you relating to each other? And when I say physically related, like, I'm talking attraction, I'm talking time spent together, I'm talking where you live, the lifestyle, all of that. Mentally, what type of person do you want? And then mentally, what type of interaction are you having? What types of conversations are you experiencing together? And then spiritually, what type of person are they? And then spiritually, how are you connecting with them? So get very, very clear on your vision. If you don't know what you want, you won't recognize it when it's here. And that takes us to the third step, which is once you get really clear, then you have to be a match. You have to be a match for that person. When you're not clear, you don't even know how to become a magnetic person that can attract that type of person, right? A magnetic, and create that magnetic energy so that you two can find each other. So you have to become a match to that. So that I call that alignment. You have to look at yourself and ask yourself, if I see this list of all the qualities that the ideal partner for me has, who do I need to become in order to be a match for that? Now, I used to think, you have to match that list exactly. And what I've learned over the years is we're not looking for opposite sex version of ourselves. I'm not looking for a male version of me. The ideal mate is not an exact replica of you, but how do you balance each other? So if you want someone who's very much we'll just take a woman, for example, who desires a man who is successful, who is ambitious, who is very masculine, then she needs to be very feminine. She needs to be very receptive. She needs to be very open and loving. And so how do you become a match to that? When you look at your qualities also, as far as alignment, I want you to look at the values. How are your values aligned versus we don't always have to have the same hobbies. We don't always have to be doing the same things. We don't always have to live the same lifestyle, because one of the exciting things about our life and about this journey that we have is that we get to experience new things. So I may not, let's say someone loves hiking. I would not necessarily be stuck on attracting someone who loves to hike, because that's something you can expose someone to. Or if you don't love to hike, perhaps if you attract someone who does love to hike, then that's something that you can start to enjoy together. So it's opening up your world. And so part of what you want to think about is, what are those values that I want to attract, not necessarily get down into the details. So how do I become the best version of myself that will be a magnet to this ideal partner that I'm creating, that I'm envisioning for myself? And how do I develop as a person to become that match? If I had this person right in front of me, who would they be attracted to? Now, here's something that I could easily get a lot of flack for, but I'm going to say it anyway, because the reality is there are certain things that we are all as human beings attracted to. And if you are a woman, we have to be willing to lead with our best self. If you are a man, you have to be willing to lead with your best self. And so people are attracted to packaging. And so part of leading with your best self is to look at, how can I improve? How can I improve? How can I be my best, highest self? Can I, in little things like, how can I take care of my skin better so I have this youthful glow that becomes attractive? How can I, throw away the frumpy, yucky, dark clothes that keep me invisible and start to dress up in a way that makes me feel beautiful and hence more attractive? For men, I always see those gorgeous women dressed up to the nines, with a guy next to her that's just sloppy in jeans and a t-shirt. It's like, let's present ourselves with our best self. Men are very visual and are attracted to looks. Women are attracted to men who can take care of them. And so for men, I always say, lead with your success. If you are unemployed, not making money, are having, and I have to be careful because I know there's going to be a lot of haters out there. So my apologies. I'm just talking truth. My truth. You have to work on yourself, build, because we have things to offer. And so we want to look at, as a man, what do you have to offer? As a woman, what do you have to offer? So let's improve in those areas. If you don't have a job and you're unemployed, you should not be looking for a relationship. So let's get into a place where you will be attractive to the opposite sex. And part of that is your ability to take care of someone. The next step is to act as if. If you look at the people around you, what you will notice is people are either serially in relationships or they're serially single. Why is that? There's an energy about them. There's a decision they made about themselves that make sure, so like I have friends who have never been alone. It's like once they break up, they're right into the next relationship. And after they break up with that, they're serial monogamous, we'll call them that. And they get into relationship after relationship after relationship. And that's because they have a belief that they can't be alone. They want to be in a relationship versus others who are, the majority of the time they're single. So they have a way of being that assures that they're always going to be single. And so there's an energy. It's people who are used to being in relationships attract relationships. People are used to being single attract singleness. So part of acting as if is to step into that feeling of already being in a relationship. What does that look like? What does that feel like? What does that taste like? What does that sound like? What would you be doing? Where would you be going if you were in a relationship, if that person was already in your life? And so starting to play with that, even to the point where, you're imagining a conversation as you're going to bed and saying goodnight to your beloved, or you're saying good morning, or you're imagining yourself having breakfast with this person that is in your life. You imagine going on trips with them. And so really stepping into all of your sensory experiences of what are you seeing, hearing, smelling, and feeling when you're in a relationship. And number 5 is skill building. Now, this one is, again, a very controversial one because people say, well, I just want to be myself and attract somebody who loves me for me. But the fact is who you are is just a construct of all your experiences. Who you are is not really you. And so to be in a relationship, to be in an extraordinary relationship, we have to be willing to develop relationship skills. We have to be willing to develop those tools to learn how to attract, how to interact, and develop a strong relationship. And so those are things like how to dress up, how to flirt, how to interact when you're dating, manners, mannerisms, how to communicate, how to work through issues, learning the love languages. How do I give in my partner's love language? How do I read my partner's love language? So all of these things are not innate. They're all just repetitions of what you have learned. And so there has to be that commitment to learning new tools so that you could build a higher level type of relationship. So skill building is absolutely important. We have to learn. We have to learn how to attract. We have to learn how to interact, and we have to learn how to develop that extraordinary relationship. What are those tools? If you haven't picked up my book, for women especially, I encourage you to pick up that book, The Modern Woman: Discover Your Inner Sweet, Sexy, Badass Queen. Because when you fully embody the 4 feminine archetypes that I talk about in that book, teaches you exactly how to flirt, how to be with a man, how to interact with them, but also how to set your intention and hold your place and create boundaries so that you're not getting overrun, you're not getting taken advantage of, and you can learn to receive instead of constantly giving. So that's, one area where you can absolutely build some new skills. And there's so many relationship tools that if you learn them, what not to do, how to communicate, how to get your needs met, all of those things are absolutely important. Because they're not, again, they're not innate, because you're just going to be repeating patterns that you've seen around you. And then the bonus, those are 5 steps. The bonus is to release attachment. Release attachment. And that's attachment to people. I did my own evaluation, and I look at all my past relationships, and even the past relationships where I've been heartbroken, where it ended when I didn't want it to end. And I look back at those people that I had cried tears over, and I thought, wow, thank God that I'm still not with them. And so I really embrace the concept of rejection as God's protection. So being willing to let go of, if something ends, it's realized that, it's because there was something better for me. I can let it go. I can let it go. And that it's not meant for me. And also understanding that it's always this or something even greater. So even with our vision, we don't want to be attached to our vision. We don't want to be attached to our vision. So we may have a very clear picture, even down to, height, hair color, eye color. And once you create that vision, yes, we pay attention to it, but then we also kind of set it aside. And then we're just present to the relationships in front of us, because someone may have the wrong height or wrong hair color or eye color or job. But that person may lead us to our ideal partner, or that person might have everything else that God wants to gift us with, except for, maybe the shallow things that are just, again, a construct of what we think we like based on our past experiences. And so we want to go to the universe with an open hand that says this or something even greater for the highest good of all concerned, and not be so attached to my soulmate has to be, just like this. And I want to share a couple of stories of people that have been able to manifest their relationship despite all odds. I worked with a woman in her mid-40s, never been married, never really had a long-term viable partner. And within 1 year of working together to really uncover all of the past blocks, limiting blocks that kept her from finding love, and stacking up some tools to open up to being with someone. Within a year, she was engaged. And a year after that, she's married to her soulmate. Another woman in her 60s was really in a marriage with a man that for decades, it had been over for decades, and had almost given up on the idea of love, but it was that one thing that she really wanted. I would say, I think within less than a year, so I want to say about within 6 months, met an incredible man that fit the profile to the T of what she wanted. And so again, we had to get really clear on what her vision is, and then start to open up to the idea that this is possible, and let go of any limitations that said, I'm too old, it's never going to happen, I made my bed, let me lie in it. So this is absolutely possible. I had a client who came in wanting me to help her go through a divorce in a positive way. She didn't want it to be messy. She anticipated it was going to be pretty harsh. And within the time we were working together, we worked together for a couple of years. She, instead of getting divorced, she ended up having this beautiful, loving relationship. And I would say it's been probably 8 years, is still absolutely happily married to this man that she was ready to leave. And so just shifting her mindset so she can understand who he is and really embrace who she is, so that they can work on their communication and come together as a team. It absolutely transformed her life and transformed her business. So these things work, these tools work. And so I encourage you to take them to heart, and to know, having that extraordinary relationship is available to everyone, and it's available to you. And this is something that is, this is what we do, that we work on. And so if you'd like some help, you can absolutely reach out to me, and we can talk about what you want to create, and open up to the love that you desire in your life, which I believe we all deserve. Again, if you have any questions, comments, please share them with me. You can reach me through any of the social media channels, just DM me. And if you'd like to create the love of your life, or manifest the love of your life, please reach out and let's have a conversation. Have a beautiful day. Until next time, we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.